I opened my eyes to find Lucas staring at the ceiling, his chest rising and falling in rapid breaths. Something felt wrong. The way he lay there, stiff and confused, was nothing like the man who usually pulled me close each morning. "Lucas," I whispered, reaching for his hand. He jerked away so fast he nearly fell off the bed. His eyes, those warm brown eyes that usually looked at me with such tenderness, were filled with panic and confusion. "Who are you? Where am I?" His voice cracked, young and frightened. My heart stopped. "Baby, it's me. Ethan. Your boyfriend." "Boyfriend?" He scrambled backward until he hit the headboard. I don't have a boyfriend. I need to find him." "Find who?" "Jasper. I need to find Jasper." The name hit me like cold water. Jasper. The name Lucas had mentioned only once in 3 years. Late one night when he thought I was asleep. The white moonlight. The first love. The one that got away. I sat up slowly, trying to keep my voice steady even though my world was crumbling. "Lucas, what year do you think it is?" He looked at me like I was crazy. "It's 2017. It's September. I'm 18. And I was just at school, and now I'm here in this strange apartment with some guy claiming to be my boyfriend. 7 years ago, before college. Before we met at that coffee shop where I spilled an entire latte on his laptop. Before our first kiss in the rain. Before everything. Look at your phone," I said quietly. "Check the date." He found his phone on the nightstand, his hands shaking. When he saw the screen, his face went pale. "This is impossible. This is some kind of joke." "It's 2024, Lucas. You're 25 years old. We've been together for 3 years. We live together in this apartment. You work at an architecture firm, and I'm a graphic designer." He shook his head violently. No, that can't be right. I'm supposed to find Jasper. I was going to tell him how I feel before he leaves for college. I can't have lost 7 years. I can't have... Tears filled his eyes, and despite everything, I wanted to hold him. But the way he looked at me, like I was a stranger, like I was the enemy keeping him from his true love, made me keep my distance. "I know this is scary," I said, "but whatever happened, we'll figure it out together." "Together?" He laughed bitterly. "I don't even know you, and I need to find Jasper. He's the only person I want to be with. He's he's everything." Each word was a knife to my heart. This was Lucas. My Lucas, but also not him at all. The man I loved was somewhere inside this frightened 18-year-old, but right now, all this boy could think about was someone else. "Jasper is married," I said softly. "He married his high school girlfriend 5 years ago. They have a daughter." Lucas's face crumbled. "You're lying." "I'm not. I'm sorry." He buried his face in his hands, shoulders shaking. I wanted to comfort him, but I knew he wouldn't accept it. Not from me. Not from the stranger claiming to be his boyfriend in a future he couldn't remember. My phone buzzed. My best friend Maya. I quickly typed a message. "Emergency. Can't explain. Need help." Her response was immediate. "Coming over." I looked back at Lucas, who was now scrolling through his phone with increasing horror, seeing pictures of us together, reading messages between us, finding evidence of a life he couldn't remember living. "This is wrong," he whispered. "All of this is wrong. I wouldn't forget Jasper. I wouldn't move on unless what?" He looked up at me with eyes full of suspicion and fear. "Unless you did something to me. Unless this is all fake." The accusation hurt more than anything else. "Lucas, I love you. I would never hurt you. You say that, but I don't know you. And everyone in these pictures, all these memories, they feel like someone else's life. Like I'm looking at a stranger." The doorbell rang. Maya, thank God. But as I stood to answer it, Lucas grabbed his jacket. "Where are you going?" "Away from here. I need to find the truth. I need to find Jasper and figure out what happened to the last 7 years of my life." "Lucas, please." But he was already pushing past me, running out the door and down the stairs. I heard Maya's surprised voice in the hallway. Then Lucas was gone. I stood in the doorway of our apartment, our home surrounded by 3 years of memories, and felt completely alone. The man I loved had just walked out, convinced I was either a liar or something worse. And somewhere out there, he was looking for a ghost from his past, not knowing that the real mystery wasn't about finding his white moonlight. It was about discovering why he'd forgotten me at all. Maya found me sitting on the floor of our apartment, surrounded by photo albums I had pulled from the shelf, pictures of Lucas and me at the beach, at his sister's wedding, celebrating our anniversary, evidence of a love that now existed only in my memory. "Okay, explain," Maya said, settling beside me with 2 cups of coffee. "Your text said emergency, and then I saw Lucas running out, looking terrified." I told her everything. How Lucas woke up thinking he was 18. How he didn't remember me at all. How he was obsessed with finding Jasper Chen, his high school crush, who barely knew he existed. "That's impossible," Maya said, but her face showed she believed me. People don't just lose 7 years of memory overnight. I know, but it happened. I picked up a photo from our trip to Barcelona last summer. Lucas was laughing. Yeah, his arm around me, looking so happy. He looked at me like I was a stranger, Maya, worse than a stranger. Like I was someone keeping him from his true love. Maya was quiet for a moment, then pulled out her laptop. "Jasper Chen. Let's find him." Why would we do that? Because if Lucas is going to track him down anyway, we need to know what he's walking into. And maybe Jasper can help us figure out what's happening. She was right. Within 20 minutes, Maya had found Jasper's social media. He was indeed married, living in Seattle, working as a software engineer. His wife was beautiful, and his daughter was adorable. He looked happy and settled, nothing like the object of desperate teenage longing. Lucas never even told Jasper how he felt, I said quietly. He told me once, late at night. Oh, he said Jasper was kind to him when no one else was. And he built this whole fantasy around him. But they were never actually close. "White moonlight," Maya murmured. "The perfect love that never was. That stays perfect because it never had the chance to be real." My phone buzzed. An unknown number. "This is Ethan Chen." The voice was professional, concerned. "Yes?" "This is Detective Morrison from the Metro Police. We found a young man attempting to break into a residence. He claims his name is Lucas Reed and that he's looking for someone named Jasper Chen. He had your number listed as his emergency contact." My stomach dropped. "Is he okay?" "Physically, yes. Mentally, he seems very confused. Keeps insisting he's 18 years old and that he's been kidnapped into the future." "Sir, does Lucas have any history of mental illness or substance abuse?" "No, nothing like that. He's... It's complicated." "Where is he?" "County General Hospital. They're evaluating him now." I was out the door before the detective finished giving me the room number. Maya right behind me. On the drive to the hospital, my mind raced. What were they going to find? Brain tumor? Psychological break? Some explanation that made sense? We found Lucas in a private room, dressed in a hospital gown, looking small and scared. When he saw me, his expression hardened. "You called them? You had them lock me up?" "Lucas, you tried to break into someone's house. Jasper's house. That's where he lives. That's his address from high school." "His parents moved years ago," I said gently. "Different family lives there now." A doctor entered, clipboard in hand. "Mr. Reed? I'm Dr. Patterson. We've run some preliminary tests. Your brain scans look normal. No signs of tumors, bleeding, or structural abnormalities. Your blood work is clean. No drugs. No toxins." "Then why can't I remember anything?" Lucas's voice broke. "Why do I have 7 years missing?" "That's what we're trying to determine. Dissociative amnesia can be caused by trauma." "I'm not traumatized. I went to sleep in my bedroom at my parents' house in 2017 and woke up in 2024 in an apartment with him. He pointed at me. That's not trauma. I don't know what that is. Dr. Patterson looked between us. Mr. Chen, could I speak with you outside? In the hallway, she lowered her voice. Has Lucas experienced any recent stress? Loss of a loved one? Work problems? Relationship issues? I thought about the last few weeks. Lucas had been quieter than usual, spending long hours at the office, but I had assumed it was just a difficult project. Nothing out of the ordinary. Sometimes the mind protects itself by retreating to a time when life felt simpler. If he's facing something in the present he doesn't want to confront, regression to a younger age is one way to escape it. But why 18? Why that specific age? That's something we'll need to explore in therapy. But Mr. Chen, I have to ask, is your relationship with Lucas, is it healthy? Is there any chance he might be trying to escape something about your relationship? The question felt like a slap. No, we're happy. At least, I thought we were. Back in the room, Maya was showing Lucas pictures on her phone, trying to jog his memory, but he just looked more distressed with each image. Stop, he said finally. Stop showing me this fake life. It's not fake, Lucas, Maya said. I've known you for 3 years. You're my friend. You helped me move last year. You taught me how to make your grandmother's cookies. You cried at my birthday party because the speeches were so touching. I don't remember any of that. A nurse entered with discharge papers. Mr. Reed, you're free to go, but we strongly recommend follow-up with a psychiatrist. We've made you an appointment for tomorrow. I'm not going back to that apartment, Lucas said immediately. Not with him. You can stay with me, Maya offered, shooting me an apologetic look. Until we figure this out. Lucas nodded, relief flooding his face. He wouldn't even look at me as he gathered his things. Lucas, I said softly, I know you don't remember, but I love you. And I'm going to help you figure out what's happening, whether you believe me or not. He finally met my eyes. For a moment, just a moment, something flickered in his expression. Confusion, maybe, or recognition, but then it was gone. You say you love me, he said quietly, but I don't even know what that means. Not with you. They left together, and I stood alone in that hospital room, feeling like I was the one who had lost something vital, some essential part of myself that I couldn't get back. My phone rang. Unknown. Number again. Mr. Chen? This is Jasper Chen. Detective Morrison gave me your number. He said Lucas was looking for me. Is he okay? What's going on? And that's when I realized that the story was bigger than I knew, because why would a detective give my number to Jasper? Unless there was more to this situation than a simple case of amnesia. I met Jasper Chen at a quiet cafe downtown the next morning. I recognized him immediately from his photos, though he looked older, more tired. He wore a wedding ring and had the slightly harried expression of a new parent. Thank you for meeting me, I said as he sat down across from me. I almost didn't come, Jasper admitted. My wife thought it was strange, but when the detective explained that Lucas was having some kind of crisis and believed he was back in high school, I had to come. We weren't close, but I'd hate to think he's suffering. You said you weren't close? We weren't. We had one class together, senior year, English. I helped him with an essay once, maybe twice. He seemed like a nice guy. Quiet. That was it. Jasper paused, stirring his coffee. Why would he be looking for me 7 years later? I told him everything. About Lucas, waking up thinking he was 18, about the obsession with finding his white moonlight, about how Lucas had built an entire fantasy around someone who barely knew he existed. Jasper's face went pale. Oh God, I never knew. He never said anything. Did anything happen between you two? Anything that might have made him think there was something more? No, nothing. I mean, Jasper frowned, thinking back. There was one day, end of senior year. I found him crying behind the gym. Some guys had been giving him a hard time about being gay. I sat with him. Told him it would get better, that high school wasn't forever. He thanked me and that was it. I went off to college and never thought about it again. That was probably enough, I said quietly. When you're 18 and scared and someone shows you kindness, yeah, it can feel like everything. But to carry that for 7 years, to build your whole life around a moment of basic human decency? Jasper shook his head. That's not healthy. He didn't build his life around it. He moved on. He went to college, built a career, found love. Found me, I didn't say, though the words stuck in my throat. This is something else. Something triggered this regression. Jasper pulled out his phone, scrolling through something. You know what's strange? I got a friend request from Lucas about a month ago. I didn't accept it because I barely remembered him, and it seemed random, but maybe it wasn't random. A month ago, right when Lucas started acting distant, right when he started working late and being quieter than usual. Can you see his message? Jasper showed me his phone. The message was short. Hey, Jasper. I know this is weird after all these years, but I need to ask you something. Can we talk? Did he say what he wanted to talk about? No, I didn't respond. I should have, maybe. If I'd known. My phone buzzed. Maya. Ethan, you need to come over. Now. I found something in Lucas's jacket pocket. I stood up quickly. I have to go, but Jasper, would you be willing to talk to Lucas? To tell him the truth about your relationship or lack of one? Maybe hearing it from you will help. Of course. Whatever helps. I drove to Maya's apartment faster than I should have. She met me at the door, holding a small notebook with a worn leather cover. Lucas went to take a shower, she said quietly. I found this in his jacket. Ethan, you need to read this. The notebook was a journal, dated entries starting from 5 weeks ago. I opened it to the first page and my world shifted again. I saw Jasper today, after all these years. He didn't see me, but I saw him with his family, looking so happy, and I realized something that terrifies me. I realized I spent so many years running from who I was in high school, trying to become someone different, someone worthy of love. But what if I've just been pretending this whole time? What if the real me is still that scared 18-year-old boy who could never have the courage to speak his truth? I flipped through more pages. Entry after entry of Lucas questioning himself, questioning us, questioning everything about his life, talking about feeling like an imposter in his own skin, wondering if he ever really got over Jasper or if he just convinced himself he did, worrying that he was living a lie. The last entry was dated 3 days ago. I'm so tired of pretending. I'm tired of being this person I built myself into. Sometimes I wish I could go back to being 18 again, back before I made all these choices that led me here. Back when the future was still open, and I could have been brave enough to be honest about what I wanted. Maybe if I could go back, I would make different choices. Maybe I would be braver. Maybe I would be real. Oh, Lucas, I whispered. There's more, Maya said softly. She pulled out a prescription bottle from the pocket. Sleeping pills, strong ones. He had a prescription filled 3 weeks ago. The implication hung in the air between us. You don't think... I don't know what to think, but Ethan, what if this isn't amnesia? What if this is something he chose? What if somehow he found a way to go back? That's impossible. So is waking up thinking you're 7 years younger. Lucas emerged from the bathroom then, wearing borrowed clothes, his hair damp. He looked so young, so vulnerable. When he saw me, he tensed. What are you doing here? We need to talk, I said, holding up the journal. About this. About what you were really feeling before all this happened. His eyes widened when he saw the notebook. Where did you get that? That's private. Lucas, you wrote about wanting to go back. About wanting to be 18 again. About feeling like you were living a lie. I stepped closer. What happened to you? What did you do? I don't know what you're talking about. That's not my journal. I don't write journals. It's in your handwriting. It has your thoughts, your feelings about our relationship. Stop saying we have a relationship. His voice rose. I don't know you. I've never known you. And I'm tired of everyone trying to convince me that I'm someone I'm not. But you are someone else, I said. You're 25 years old. You're an architect. You love Thai food and hate mushrooms. You sing in the shower and you cry at dog movies. You're afraid of heights, but you went skydiving for your birthday because you wanted to conquer your fears. You're kind and thoughtful, and you have a terrible habit of leaving coffee cups all over the apartment. Stop it. You have a scar on your knee from when you fell off your bike when you were 12. You call your mother every Sunday. Your favorite color is blue, not because you think it should be, but because it reminds you of the ocean, and the ocean makes you feel peaceful. Stop it. Tears streamed down his face. You're describing someone else, not me. I'm describing you, the you that you became, the you that you chose to be, even if right now you can't remember choosing it. He sank onto the couch, his head in his hands. I can't do this. I can't be this person you want me to be. I knelt in front of him. I don't want you to be anyone but yourself. But Lucas, this running away, this retreat into the past, it's not going to fix whatever you were feeling. It's just going to trap you in a moment that wasn't even real. It felt real, he whispered. That moment with Jasper, when he was kind to me, when he made me feel like maybe I wasn't broken, that felt more real than anything. Because you were hurting, and he offered comfort. But you built a shrine around a single moment of human kindness and called it love. That's not fair to him or to you, and it's definitely not fair to what we built together. He looked up at me finally, really looked at me, and I saw something crack in his expression. What if I can't come back? What if this is who I really am, and all those years were the dream? Then we'll figure it out, I said. Together. Dr. Sarah Kim's office smelled like lavender and had soft lighting that was probably meant to be calming. It wasn't working. Lucas sat as far from me as possible on the couch, arms crossed, while I tried to figure out how to explain our situation to a stranger. So, Dr. Kim said, notepad ready, tell me what brings you both here today. He dragged me here, Lucas said immediately. And I only came because Maya said if I didn't, she'd make me eat her cooking for a week. Despite everything, I almost smiled. That was such a Lucas thing to say. Maybe more of him was still in there than I thought. Lucas woke up 3 days ago, believing he's 18 years old, I explained. He has no memory of the last 7 years, including our relationship. Dr. Kim didn't look surprised, which itself was surprising. I've reviewed the hospital records. The medical tests show no physical cause for the amnesia. Lucas, can you tell me the last thing you remember before waking up in 2024? I was in my bedroom. At my parents' house, I was thinking about Jasper, about how I was going to tell him how I felt before graduation. Then I fell asleep, and when I woke up, I was in a strange apartment with him. He jerked his head toward me. Everyone keeps telling me I'm 25, that 7 years have passed, but it doesn't feel real. What does feel real? Being 18, being scared, wanting Jasper. Lucas's voice dropped. Feeling like if I don't tell him how I feel, I'll regret it forever. Dr. Kim wrote something down. And Ethan, what was Lucas like before this happened? I thought carefully. The last few weeks, he was distant, quiet, working late a lot. I thought it was job stress, but now I think it was something more. We found his journal. He was questioning everything about his life, about whether he was living authentically. Can I see this journal? I handed it over. Dr. Kim read through it slowly, her expression thoughtful. When she finished, she set it down and looked at Lucas. Lucas, you wrote here about wanting to go back, about feeling like you were pretending to be someone you're not. Do you remember writing this? No, I told you I don't remember anything from the last 7 years. But if you had written it, if these were your thoughts, what do you think you meant? Lucas was quiet for a long moment. I don't know. Maybe that being grown up is harder than I thought it would be. Being grown up, Dr. Kim repeated. Not being yourself? Isn't that the same thing? Is it? She leaned forward slightly. Lucas, when you think about being 18 again, what appeals to you about that? Everything was simpler. I hadn't made any big mistakes yet. The future was still open, full of possibility. And now? Now I'm apparently stuck in a life I don't remember choosing. Or, Dr. Kim said gently, you're facing consequences of choices you did make, and your mind is protecting you from that by retreating to a time before those choices existed. Lucas stood up abruptly. This is ridiculous. You're all trying to convince me I'm crazy, that I'm making this up. But I know what I remember and what I don't. And I don't remember him. He pointed at me again. I don't remember loving him. I don't remember choosing this life. So either everyone is lying to me or something impossible happened. And honestly, impossible sounds better than spending 7 years with someone I don't even remember meeting. The words hurt, even though I knew they came from fear, not malice. Lucas, I said quietly, do you remember your sister's wedding? He blinked. Emma's not married. She's only 20. She's 27 now. She got married 4 years ago to a woman named Sarah. You were so happy for her. You cried during your speech. Emma's gay? Yes. She came out when she was 21. You were the first person she told. You held her while she cried and told her you loved her no matter what. You said it was the bravest thing you'd ever seen. Someone living their truth even when it was scary. Lucas sat down slowly. She really came out? She did. And she's really happy. She and Sarah have a life together, a home, a dog named Biscuit who chews everything. Something flickered in Lucas's expression. Not quite memory, but maybe recognition. I always wondered if she might be. She never seemed interested in boys the way other girls were. She wasn't. And when she told you, you made her feel safe enough to be herself. I paused. The same way Jasper made you feel safe for one afternoon. But Lucas, you've spent the last 7 years being that person for other people. Being brave, being authentic, building a life that might not be perfect, but it's yours. But I don't remember it. Memory isn't the only thing that makes something real, Dr. Kim interjected. Your body remembers. Your habits remember. The person you've become remembers, even if your conscious mind doesn't. She stood and walked to a shelf, pulling down a book. I want to try something. Hypnotherapy. It might help access memories that are buried, not lost. No way, Lucas said immediately. I'm not letting you mess with my head. I'm not messing with anything. I'm just opening a door you closed. But Lucas, you have to want to walk through it. He looked at me, then at Dr. Kim, then at the journal sitting on the coffee table. What if I open that door and I don't like what I see? What if the person I became isn't who I want to be? Then we deal with that, I said. But at least you'll know the truth. And the truth, whatever it is, has to be better than this limbo. Lucas was quiet for so long I thought he would refuse. Then finally he nodded. Okay, but if this makes things worse, I'm blaming both of you. Dr. Kim smiled. Fair enough. Let's begin. The hypnotherapy room was dimmer than Dr. Kim's office, with a comfortable reclining chair and soft music playing in the background. Lucas settled into the chair nervously while I sat in the corner, per Dr. Kim's instructions to stay quiet. I'm going to count backwards from 10, Dr. Kim said, her voice gentle and rhythmic. With each number, you'll feel more relaxed, more open to your memories. You're safe here. Nothing can hurt you. She began counting. By the time she reached 1, Lucas's eyes were closed, his breathing slow and even. Lucas, I want you to go back to 3 days ago, the morning before you woke up confused. What do you remember? Lucas's face twitched. I'm lying in bed in the apartment. The sun is coming through the window. Good. What are you feeling? Scared. So scared. I have to do it today. I have to end it. My heart stopped. End it? End what? Dr. Kim's expression remained calm. End what, Lucas? The lie? Living like this? Pretending I'm okay when I'm not? Pretending I'm brave when I'm terrified every single day? What are you terrified of? That he'll realize. That Ethan will realize I'm not who he thinks I am. That I'm still that scared 18-year-old kid who couldn't even tell his crush he existed. I've just gotten better at hiding it. Tears started running down Lucas's closed eyes. I see Jasper a month ago at the mall. He doesn't recognize me. Why would he? I was nobody to him. But seeing him there, with his perfect life, his perfect family, it broke something in me. Because I realized I spent 7 years running from who I was, trying to become someone worthy of love, and I still feel exactly the same inside. And that morning, what did you decide to do? I took the pills, not to hurt myself, just to sleep, to escape for a while. But as I was falling asleep, I was thinking about being 18 again, about having the chance to make different choices, to be braver, to be real. And I wished so hard that I could go back, that I could undo all the pretending. Dr. Kim wrote something down. And when you woke up, I was 18 again, or I thought I was. Everything felt real. The confusion, the fear, not knowing Ethan. It all felt real. Lucas, I want you to go deeper. I want you to find the truth underneath the truth. What are you really afraid of? His breathing became rapid. I'm afraid he loves someone who doesn't exist. I'm afraid I built this whole person, this confident, successful version of myself, and it's all a performance. And if I stop performing, if I let him see who I really am, he'll leave. Everyone leaves. Everyone always leaves when they see the real you. Who left you, Lucas? My dad. When I came out, I was 19. He looked at me like I was a stranger, like I'd betrayed him by being myself. He hasn't spoken to me since. 5 years, and not a single word. I didn't know that. In 3 years together, Lucas had never told me. He always said his father was busy, traveling for work, not good at keeping in touch. I never pushed because he seemed uncomfortable discussing it. What else? Dr. Kim asked. My best friend in college, Tyler. I told him I had feelings for him, and he transferred schools to get away from me. Told everyone I was obsessed with him. Made me into a joke. And Jasper? Jasper was safe. Jasper was a fantasy. If I never told him how I felt, he could never reject me. The white moonlight that never sets. The perfect love that stays perfect because it never has to be real. Lucas's voice broke completely now. And then I met Ethan. Kind, patient, wonderful Ethan, who looked at me like I was worth loving. And instead of being happy, I was terrified. Because what happens when he realizes I'm not worth it? When he sees that I'm still that scared kid pretending to be an adult? So you ran, Dr. Kim said softly. You ran backwards to a time before you could disappoint him. I ran to a time before I could lose him. If I never really have him, he can't leave me. Dr. Kim looked at me and I realized I was crying. All this time I thought Lucas was happy. I thought we were building something real together. But he was carrying all this fear, all this pain, and I never saw it. Lucas, I'm going to count to 3, and when I do, you'll wake up. But I want you to bring something back with you. I want you to bring back the knowledge that the person Ethan fell in love with isn't a performance. It's you. All of you. The scared parts and the brave parts. The parts that are still figuring things out. You're allowed to be imperfect and still be worthy of love. She counted slowly. 1, 2, 3. Lucas's eyes opened. He looked around, confused for a moment. Then his gaze found mine. Really found mine. Not the hostile suspicion of the last 3 days, but something deeper. Recognition. Ethan. His voice was small, uncertain. I'm here. I remember everything. Oh, God. What did I do? He stood up shakily. I ran away. I literally ran away from you because I was scared. I crossed the room and pulled him into my arms. He collapsed against me, sobbing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You must think I'm crazy. I think you're human, I said. And I think you've been carrying way too much alone. Dr. Kim gave us a moment, then spoke gently. Lucas, what you experienced was a dissociative fugue state, triggered by extreme psychological stress. Your mind quite literally tried to escape an unbearable situation by regressing to a simpler time. But here's what you need to understand. The you at 18 and the you at 25 aren't different people. They're the same person at different stages of growth. And growth doesn't mean you stop being afraid. It means you learn to be afraid and keep going anyway. Lucas pulled back to look at me. You heard everything I said under hypnosis? I did. About my dad? About Tyler? About being terrified you'll leave? Yes. He closed his eyes. That's humiliating. It's honest, I corrected. And Lucas, I wish you'd told me before. About your dad. About how scared you've been. You didn't have to carry that alone. I didn't want you to see me as weak. I don't see you as weak. I see you as someone who's been incredibly strong for a very long time, maybe too long. You don't have to be perfect, Lucas. You never had to be perfect. But what if the real me isn't enough? What if... I kissed him, soft and gentle and full of everything I felt. When I pulled back, he was staring at me with wide eyes. Which the real you is exactly who I fell in love with, I said. The you who sings badly in the shower, the you who cries at dog movies, the you who's scared sometimes and brave other times and figuring it out as you go. That's who I want. Not some perfect version that doesn't exist. Lucas laughed through his tears. I can't believe I tried to de-age myself to avoid a difficult conversation. Well, when you put it that way, it does sound ridiculous. It was ridiculous. I was ridiculous. He looked at Dr. Kim. Am I going to be okay? You're going to need therapy. Real therapy. Not just crisis management. You have abandonment issues to work through, fear of vulnerability to address, and a tendency to catastrophize that we need to examine. But yes, Lucas, you're going to be okay. He nodded slowly, then looked back at me. Can we go home? Of course. As we left the office, Lucas slipped his hand into mine. It felt natural, familiar, right. Like coming home after a long journey. Ethan? Yeah? Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave up on myself. I squeezed his hand. That's what love is. Holding on when the other person can't. We walked out into the afternoon sun, and for the first time in days, I felt like maybe we really would be okay. Not perfect, not without challenges, but together, and that was enough. 2 days after Lucas regained his memories, Jasper agreed to meet with us at a quiet park near his hotel. He was in town for a conference, and despite his wife's concerns about getting involved in whatever this is, he felt he owed Lucas some closure. Lucas was nervous. I could tell by the way he kept fidgeting with his coffee cup as we waited on a bench by the pond. He'd spent the last 2 days in intensive therapy with Dr. Kim, unpacking years of unexamined trauma and fear. He was exhausted, but clearer, more present than I'd seen him in months. What if he thinks I'm insane? Lucas asked for the 3rd time. Then he thinks you're insane, I said. But at least you'll have been honest. Honesty is overrated, says the man who literally regressed to age 18 to avoid being honest. Lucas laughed despite himself. Okay, fair point. Jasper appeared then, walking toward us with an uncertain smile. In person, he was taller than I expected, with kind eyes and an easy manner. Nothing like the mythical figure Lucas had built him into. "Lucas," Jasper said, extending his hand. "It's good to see you. I mean, under less weird circumstances than trying to break into my parents' old house." Lucas shook his hand, blushing. "Yeah, about that. I'm really sorry. I was not in my right mind." "So I heard." Jasper sat down across from us. The detective gave me a very confusing explanation involving amnesia and time travel fantasies. "Want to give me the real story?" Lucas took a deep breath and told him everything. About the crush he'd had in high school. About building Jasper into his white moonlight. The perfect love that never was. About seeing Jasper at the mall a month ago with his family and how it triggered a crisis. About the dissociative episode and thinking he was 18 again. Jasper listened quietly, his expression shifting from surprise to concern to something like sadness. "I had no idea," he said finally. "Lucas, I'm sorry. If I'd known you were struggling in high school, I would have, I don't know, been a better friend maybe." "You weren't my friend," Lucas said. "That's the point. You were just kind to me once, and I turned it into this whole fantasy because I was lonely and scared and desperate for someone to see me." "But I did see you," Jasper said gently. "Maybe not in the way you wanted, but I remember that day behind the gym. You were crying, and you looked so lost. I saw a person in pain, and I wanted to help. That was real, even if it wasn't romantic. I know that now. I think part of me always knew it. But it was easier to pine for something impossible than to risk something real." Jasper glanced at me, then back at Lucas. "But you did risk something real. You found someone who actually loves you, not some fantasy version of you." "I did. And then I almost lost him because I was too scared to be vulnerable." "Being vulnerable is terrifying," Jasper agreed. "When I told my wife I loved her for the first time, I threw up afterwards from nerves. True story. She still makes fun of me for it." Lucas smiled slightly. "That actually makes me feel better. Look, Lucas, I'm glad you reached out. Not glad about the breaking and entering part, but glad we're talking, because I want you to know something. That moment we had in high school, when I sat with you and told you it would get better, I meant it. And seeing you now, seeing that you survived high school and built a life and found love, even though it's been messy and complicated, that makes me really happy. Really. Really. You're not that scared kid anymore, Lucas. You grew up. You became someone. And yeah, you had a psychological break that made you temporarily forget that, but you found your way back. That takes courage." Lucas's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you for saying that. And for being kind to me back then, even though I turned it into something it wasn't. That kindness mattered more than you know." "Then I'm glad I was there." Jasper stood up. "I have to get back to my conference, but Lucas, let go of the white moonlight. It's just a trick of memory anyway, making the past seem better than it was. The real light is right here." He nodded at me. "Don't run from it." After Jasper left, Lucas and I sat in silence for a while, watching the ducks on the pond. "I really built him up in my head, didn't I?" Lucas said finally. "You needed something to hold on to. He was just available." "But I had you. I've had you for 3 years. Why wasn't that enough?" "Because trauma doesn't care about logic. Your dad rejecting you, Tyler humiliating you, those wounds don't heal just because something good finally happens. You have to actually deal with them." Lucas leaned against me. "I'm starting therapy. Real, ongoing therapy. Dr. Kim referred me to a specialist who deals with abandonment issues and queer trauma. I'm proud of you. I'm still terrified, Ethan. I'm terrified I'll wake up one day and you'll realize I'm too much work. That my baggage is too heavy. That you deserve someone less broken." I turned to face him fully. "Lucas, listen to me. Everyone has baggage. Everyone has wounds they're carrying. The question isn't whether you have them. It's whether you're willing to work on healing them. And you are. You're doing the hard work. That's all I can ask. But what if I have another episode? What if I break again? Then we'll deal with it. Together. That's what being in a relationship means. You hold me when I'm breaking, and I hold you. We take turns being strong. Lucas was quiet for a moment. When I was under hypnosis, when I was saying all those things about being afraid and pretending, did it change how you see me? Yes, I admitted. He flinched. It made me see you more clearly. Not as this perfect person I'd been imagining, but as a real, complicated human being who's been fighting battles I didn't even know about. It made me love you more, not less. That doesn't make sense. Love doesn't have to make sense. It just has to be true. Lucas kissed me then, soft and sweet and a little desperate. When he pulled back, he was smiling through tears. I don't deserve you. Stop saying that. You don't have to deserve love. You just have to accept it. We sat together as the sun began to set, and I felt something shift between us. Not back to how it was before, because we couldn't go back, but forward into something deeper and more honest. Something that acknowledged the fear and chose each other anyway. Ethan? Yeah? I'm glad I came back. To the present, I mean. Even though it's scary and complicated and I have to face everything I was running from, so I'm glad I came back to you. I'm glad you came back too. And in that moment, with Lucas's hand in mine and the future uncertain but ours to face together, I understood something important. Love isn't about perfect moments or flawless people. It's about choosing someone again and again through the messy, difficult, beautiful reality of being human. The white moonlight might seem perfect from a distance, but it's just reflected light, cold, and distant. The real warmth comes from choosing to stay, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. The next few weeks were hard, really hard. Lucas had nightmares where he woke up convinced he was 18 again, panicking until I could ground him in the present. He started seeing his therapist twice a week, unpacking years of repressed fear and trauma. Some days were good. Some days he couldn't get out of bed. I learned to recognize the signs when he was spiraling, when the old fears were creeping back in. The way he'd get quiet and distant. The way he'd start working late again, creating distance between us as a protection mechanism. I see you doing it, I told him one evening when he claimed he had to work through dinner again. I see you pulling away when you're scared. He froze, laptop open, looking guilty. I'm not. You are. And it's okay to be scared. But you can't run every time you feel vulnerable. That's not how this works. Lucas closed his laptop slowly. What if I pull you down with me? What if my issues become your issues and you end up resenting me? Then we'll deal with that when it happens. But Lucas, you can't live your life trying to protect me from yourself. I'm a grown man. I can decide what I'm willing to handle. But you shouldn't have to handle this. You should be with someone who's got their life together, who doesn't have psychological breaks and think they're a teenager again. I sat down next to him. You know what's funny? Before all this happened, I thought you were the one with everything together. You seemed so confident, so sure of yourself. I was actually kind of intimidated by you when we first met. You were intimidated by me? Completely. You were this successful, handsome, put-together guy, and I was just some freelance designer who spilled coffee all over you. I spent our first 3 dates convinced you'd realize you could do better. Lucas stared at me. I never knew that. Because I didn't tell you. I was too busy trying to seem like I had my life together. But Lucas, nobody has it all figured out. We're all just doing our best and pretending we know what we're doing. He laughed softly. So, we're both disasters pretending to be functional adults? Exactly. We're perfect for each other. That night, we talked until 3 a.m, really talked about everything. Lucas told me about his father's rejection, about coming out and losing half his family, about Tyler and how that betrayal made him afraid to be honest about his feelings, about building walls so high he forgot how to let people in. I told him about my own fears, about my parents' divorce and how it made me terrified of commitment, about my ex who cheated on me and how it left me constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop. About choosing safe, surface-level relationships until I met Lucas, and suddenly the stakes felt terrifyingly real. "We're both kind of a mess," Lucas said, his head on my shoulder. "Yeah, but we're a mess together." The next morning, Lucas's sister Emma came to visit. She burst into the apartment with her usual energy, her wife Sarah trailing behind with apology in her eyes. "Lucas Reed, what is this I hear about you having a mental breakdown and thinking you're 18 again?" Emma demanded, pulling Lucas into a hug before he could answer. Why didn't you call me?" "I was kind of busy thinking I was a teenager who didn't know you were married," Lucas said, but he was smiling. Emma pulled back to look at him. "Are you okay? Like, really okay?" "I'm getting there. Therapy helps. Having Ethan helps." He glanced at me. "Turns out confronting your trauma is better than trying to time travel away from it." "Who knew?" Sarah said dryly. She gave me a quick hug. "Thanks for taking care of him. Emma was ready to drive down and kidnap him back to our place." "I considered it," Emma admitted, "but Mom said you probably had it handled." Lucas froze. "You told Mom?" "Of course I told Mom. You had a psychological crisis. She's worried sick. She wants to come visit." "No, absolutely not. I'm fine. She doesn't need to—" "Lucas," Emma interrupted gently, "she's your mother. She loves you. And she feels guilty that you felt you couldn't lean on family when things got bad." "But Dad is an asshole," Emma said flatly. "Mom knows that. We all know that. But she's not Dad, and you shutting her out because you're afraid of being vulnerable isn't fair to her or to you." Lucas looked at me helplessly. I shrugged. "She has a point. I hate when she has a point," Lucas muttered. Over lunch, Emma told stories about Lucas as a teenager that made him groan and hide his face. How he once wrote an elaborate fantasy story where he was a knight saving a prince from a tower, and the prince was clearly based on Jasper, though Lucas had insisted it was completely original. "You were so obvious about your crush," Emma laughed. "You'd turn red every time someone mentioned his name." "I was subtle," Lucas protested. You literally drew hearts around his name in your notebook." "I saw them." "That was for artistic effect." Sarah and I exchanged amused glances while the siblings bickered. It was good to see Lucas like this, relaxed and present, not trapped in fear or the past. But then Emma's expression grew serious. "Lucas, I need to tell you something. About Dad." The mood shifted immediately. Lucas tensed. "What about him?" "He's sick. Cancer. Mom didn't want to tell you because she knew you'd feel obligated to visit, and she didn't want to force a reconciliation. But I think you should know." Lucas was very still. "How sick?" "Stage 3. He's starting treatment, but—" Emma trailed off, the implication clear. "Good," Lucas said flatly. "He made his choice 5 years ago. And I'm not going to pretend we're a happy family now that he's dying." "Lucas—" "No, Emma. He looked at me and told me I was dead to him. Those were his exact words. 'You're dead to me.' So as far as I'm concerned, he's been dead to me too." The bitterness in his voice was heartbreaking. Emma reached for his hand, but he pulled away. "I understand you're angry," Emma said. "You have every right to be, but you also have the right to closure, whatever that looks like for you. I'm just giving you the information." After Emma and Sarah left, Lucas was quiet. He sat on the couch, staring at nothing while I cleaned up lunch. "You don't have to see him," I said finally, "if you don't want to." "I don't want to," Lucas said immediately, then quieter. "But maybe I need to." "Need to?" "Doctor." Kim said, "Part of my healing involves confronting the sources of my trauma, and my dad is kind of the big one. His rejection set to the pattern for everything else. My fear of abandonment, my inability to be vulnerable, all of it traces back to him telling me I wasn't worth loving as I am. That doesn't mean you owe him anything, including your presence at his deathbed. I know, but maybe I need it for me, to look him in the eye and tell him he doesn't have that power over me anymore, that I built a life without him, and I'm happy. I sat down next to him. Are you happy? Lucas looked at me, really looked at me. Yeah, I am. Even with all the chaos and the therapy and the psychological breaks, I'm happier than I've ever been. Because I'm finally being honest about who I am, what I'm afraid of, what I need, and you're still here. I'm still here, I agreed. So maybe I need to face my dad. Not for him, but for me. To prove to myself that I'm strong enough to stand in front of the person who hurt me most and not crumble. When do you want to go? We? He raised an eyebrow. You think I'm letting you do this alone? Not a chance. Lucas leaned against me, and I felt the tension slowly leave his body. Thank you. For everything. For not running when things got weird. For holding on when I couldn't. For being the kind of love I didn't know was possible. That's a pretty heavy thank you, I said lightly, trying to ease the emotional weight. I mean it, though. You saved me, Ethan. From myself, from the past, from the fear. You saved me. We saved each other, I corrected. That's how it works. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the apartment in golden light. And sitting there, with Lucas, knowing we were about to face one of his biggest demons together, I felt something settle in my chest. Not the absence of fear, but the presence of something stronger. Love. Real, messy, complicated, beautiful love. The kind that doesn't run when things get hard. The kind that shows up, again and again, and says, I'm here. I'm staying. We'll figure it out together. The white moonlight might shine bright in memory, but it can't compete with the warmth of the sun, and Lucas was finally ready to step out of the shadows and into the light. The drive to Lucas's father's house took 3 hours. Lucas was quiet most of the way, staring out the window at the passing landscape. I kept one hand on his knee, grounding him, reminding him he wasn't alone. What if I can't do it? He asked as we pulled into the familiar neighborhood. What if I see him and I just fall apart? Then you fall apart and I'll put you back together. But Lucas, I don't think that's going to happen. You're stronger than you think. His childhood home was a modest 2-story house with a well-kept lawn. Lucas's mom, Patricia, was waiting on the porch. She pulled Lucas into a fierce hug the moment he stepped out of the car. My boy, she whispered. I'm so glad you came. Is he ready to see me? Lucas asked. Patricia's expression was complicated. He says he is. But Lucas, you need to know he's not the man he was. The cancer has changed him, weakened him, made him think about things differently. Different enough to apologize? I don't know. I hope so. But even if he doesn't, I'm proud of you for coming. Inside, the house smelled like medicine and something else. Something stale and sad. Lucas's father, Robert, was in the living room in a hospital bed. The illness had ravaged him. He was thin and pale, a shadow of the imposing man Lucas had described. When he saw Lucas, his eyes filled with tears. Lucas, he rasped. You came. I came, Lucas agreed, but his voice was cold. I stayed in the doorway, giving them space, but ready to intervene if needed. Thank you. I know I don't deserve... You don't, Lucas interrupted. You don't deserve my presence or my forgiveness or anything from me. I came because I needed to, not because you asked. Robert nodded slowly. I understand. I was wrong. About everything. About you. About what it means to be a man. About what matters in life. You told me I was dead to you, Lucas said, and his voice shook. You looked at your son, your own child, and said I was dead to you because I had the courage to be honest about who I am. I know. I know what I said, and I've regretted it every day since. But you never called. You never wrote. You never tried to take it back. You just let me believe for 5 years that my own father hated me. I was ashamed, Robert admitted. I was raised to believe certain things. to think certain ways. And when you came out, it challenged everything I thought I knew. I panicked. I reacted badly. Then and then, I was too proud to admit I was wrong. So, you let me suffer instead. Yes? Robert's voice broke. And I will regret that until the day I die. Lucas, I know I can't undo the damage I've done. But I want you to know that I was wrong. You're not broken. You're not wrong. You're my son, and I should have loved you exactly as you are. Lucas stood very still, tears streaming down his face. Do you know what it's like to have your parent tell you you're not worthy of love? Do you know what that does to a person? I can imagine. No, you can't. Because I spent the last 5 years convinced that something was fundamentally wrong with me, that I was unlovable, that if I let people see the real me, they would leave just like you did. I had a psychological break because I was so terrified of being myself that my mind tried to escape to a time before I had to face the consequences of being honest. Robert reached out a shaking hand. Lucas, please. No. Lucas stepped back. You don't get to ease your guilt by asking for my forgiveness. You don't get to die with a clear conscience while I'm still living with the damage you caused. Then why did you come? Lucas was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was steady, stronger than I'd heard it in weeks. I came to tell you that you don't have power over me anymore. Your rejection hurt me. It shaped me. It left scars that I'm still learning to heal, but it doesn't define me. I built a life without you. I found love without you. I became a person I'm proud of, despite you. He looked at me then, and I saw pride and pain and determination in his expression. This is Ethan, the man I love, the man who loves me, all of me, including the broken parts you created. And I don't need your approval or your acceptance or your forgiveness. I just needed to look you in the eye and tell you that you failed. You tried to make me believe I was unworthy of love, and you failed. Because I found it anyway. Robert was sobbing now, harsh, painful sobs. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know you are. And maybe one day I'll be able to forgive you. But not today. Today I just needed to say goodbye to the father I thought I had and accept the reality of the father you were. And then I needed to walk away and keep living my life. Lucas turned toward me, and I opened my arms. He walked into them, leaving his father crying in that hospital bed. And we left together. Outside, Patricia was waiting. How did it go? As well as it could have, Lucas said. He apologized. It doesn't fix anything, but he apologized. Patricia hugged him again. I'm sorry, Lucas. I'm sorry I didn't fight harder for you. I should have left him when he said those things. I should have chosen you. You did choose me, Mom. Every time you called. Every time you came to visit when he wasn't around. Every time you told me you loved me. You chose me. Can I meet Ethan properly? Patricia asked, without all the crisis and drama. Lucas laughed through his tears and introduced us. Patricia hugged me like I was already family. Thank you for taking care of my son, she said, for being there when I couldn't be. He takes care of me too, I said. That's how it works. On the drive home, Lucas was quiet again, but different. Not the heavy silence of fear, but the peaceful silence of resolution. How do you feel? I asked. Lighter, Lucas said, like I was carrying him around all this time, and I finally put him down. He hurt me, and that's real. And I'll probably be dealing with that hurt for a long time. But he doesn't get to live in my head anymore. He doesn't get to be the voice telling me I'm not enough. You're more than enough. I'm starting to believe that. He took my hand. Ethan, I know the last few weeks have been intense and complicated, and probably not what you signed up for when you agreed to date me. I signed up for you. All of you. The good days and the hard days and everything in between. I want to be better. Not different, but better. I want to be the kind of partner who doesn't run when things get scary, who can be vulnerable without spiraling, who can accept love without waiting for it to disappear. That sounds like a good goal. Will you help me? Will you call me out when I'm pulling away? Will you be patient while I figure out how to do this? I brought his hand to my lips and kissed it. Every day, for as long as you'll have me. Lucas smiled, and it was the first real smile I'd seen from him in weeks. Not the polite smile or the scared smile or the performative smile. A real smile, full of hope and possibility. Forever then, he said, if you're offering. My heart stuttered. Is that a proposal? Not yet, but it's a promise. A promise that I'm done running, that I'm choosing this, choosing us, choosing to stay even when it's scary. Because you were right. The real light isn't in the past, in some fantasy that never was. It's here, in the present, with you. We drove home as the sun set, painting the sky in colors that no memory could ever capture. The white moonlight was beautiful, but it was just reflected light, cold and distant. What we had was warm and real and ours. 3 months later, Lucas was doing better. Really better. He still had bad days, but he'd learned to talk about them instead of running. He'd reconnected with his mom and his sister. He'd even started a support group for queer people dealing with family rejection. And on a quiet evening in our apartment, with no drama or crisis or psychological breaks, just us and the life we'd built together, Lucas got down on one knee. I know I'm still a work in progress, he said. I know I'm still figuring things out, and I'll probably always be a little broken in places. But Ethan, you make me want to be brave. You make me believe that the broken parts are just proof that I survived. So, will you marry me? Will you keep choosing me and let me keep choosing you for the rest of our lives? I pulled him up and kissed him, laughing and crying at the same time. Yes, obviously, yes. We fell onto the couch together, tangled up in each other, and plans for the future. Not a perfect future, because perfect doesn't exist, but a real future full of possibility and love and the courage to show up for each other again and again. The white moonlight faded into memory, beautiful but distant, and in its place was something better, the warm, steady light of a love that was earned and chosen and fought for. A love that saw the scars and said yes anyway. A love that was brave enough to be real. And that, I learned, was worth more than any fantasy could ever be.